Good afternoon, good morning, or wherever you may be in your day. My name is Nick Conway, and I'll be presenting to you on Taylorism, its application, an inpatient physical therapist perspective. Frederick Winslow Taylor, a Pennsylvania native, born in 1856 in Germantown, Taylor was raised in the household of a lawyer and was likely also expected to pursue law school. That didn't exactly play out for Taylor, so he decided to pursue engineering. His first job out of apprenticeship was at Midvale Steel Company in Philadelphia, and this is where his story begins to connect with our course. At Midvale, Taylor truly started at the bottom. He rose all the way up in the rankings over the course of 6 years before he landed a position in management. It was in this position that he coined the term we now know today as soldering. Soldering was workers working slowly on purpose. Now, we've probably all seen this in our daily life a little bit. I know that guy in the office that just seems to drag the day on and go about his business. But Taylor knew of this practice because he was actually in that position at one time, how he climbed all the way up through the rankings. Taylor estimated that approximately one-third of workers' output was being produced, and he realized that this was obviously not okay in his new management role. He thought that at first imposing fines would affect the laborer, but they would counter by purposely breaking the machines. He then sought out to refocus and think, how can I max output yet maintain fairness? Because he really wanted to get on the level of the laborer and appreciate where he came from. So, let the games begin. Taylor set off to determine exactly how each job in his factory that he was in control of could be done most efficiently. This was no easy task at the time. This had never been done before. So he aspired to establish performance standards that workers could buy into, that would be backed scientifically and not simply by guesswork how it was typically done in the past. And his overall goal was to determine what exactly is a fair day's pay. And thus we have the birth of Taylorism, as we like to call it today, which is also known as scientific management, more referred to in our textbook as scientific management. So when you think of Taylorism or scientific management, or when I refer back to it later on, just think of efficiency, streamlined, step by step, and productivity. So one thing that Taylor's infamously famous for was developing his stopwatch technique. So what he would do, he would analyze each job, and he would literally time for efficiency and eliminating unnecessary movements. He would watch his workers work, the exact paths that they walked, the things they ran into during their daily life, and try to expel the uselessness. So then he would compile all of his data and thus determine a fair productivity standard. And then the big thing that he wanted to do was implement proper training to workers on how to be exactly most efficient. And this had never been done before either. So Taylorism today, fast forward all the way to 2018, specifically into the medical field. Here's the term medical Taylorism. Medical Taylorism is a term used by Dr. Pamela Hartsband to represent the application of scientific management within the medical field. So Hartsband recognizes the push from the Industrial Revolution, the steel company days that Taylor was in, up to Toyota, for example, car production. They streamlined everything using some of Taylor's ideas, to today how we are trying to streamline aspects of the medical field. And so the overall goal would be to have optimal time for patient-doctor interaction, which sounds great. No one wants to waste their time, neither the doctor or in particular the paying patient or the patient that's in pain. So just like Taylor was searching for, people are now searching for, what is that magic number? What is the magic number you should wait before you're seen in the ER? What is the magic number that the doctor should be able to spend with you on even your yearly wellness check. So the application of medical Taylorism, for example, some things involve electronic medical records, medical history sheets, and literally every single intake form they make you fill out at a doctor's office. And her overall opinion is that medical Taylorism should be left out of the medical field, mostly. So a little bit about myself. I'm currently a student physical therapist in my final year of school, on my rotational year. So I'm working every day, but I'm working for free. I'm a very type A OCD person. Um, I love the concepts of optimization and having exactly one correct way to do something. So Taylorism and me, we go hand in hand. We're the perfect match. So now I would like to take a look, through my eyes on how Taylorism is being applied in the medical field today. And the first thing that pops in my head is electronic medical records. In my field, personally, in the field of physical therapy, I kind of see them as ridiculous and very redundant. The check boxes, they seem great when you're in the therapy office and you check off what's wrong with you here, 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 and here. But the issue is the company policy is always to almost re-ask every single question you just checked off, and essentially wasting both of our time once I come in to see you. And so one spot where it is really good, though, is if a patient's out of town, they're on vacation and they need therapy or some kind of medical treatment, you can easily pop up and check out their whole medical record from home. But in reality, I don't think that you should streamline something that is heavily dependent on open-ended responses. And open-ended responses are the key sort of to healthcare. So I give this kind of a 50-50, half good, half bad. Infection control. I think this is an excellent application of Taylorism, and we all see it, and maybe we've never thought of it as Taylorism, but it makes perfect sense. So you want to save healthcare dollars by reducing risk, and it's perfect for step-by-step, best ways to do something, and quite frankly, it's a lifesaver. This is the perfect use for optimization standards. You have to follow the exact protocol when you go into a patient's room at the hospital that's on considered infection control. And where it's really great is it's so simplified that visitors, doctors, anyone on the healthcare team, they all know what to do before you even enter the room. All the protective equipment is there, and exactly step-by-step instruction on how to help the hospital not spread whatever infection your loved one may have. Time is brain. Now, this one's kind of unique. Maybe many of you have or haven't heard of it. It's kind of a campaign to emphasize warning signs and what to do for a stroke or a heart attack. And the big emphasis is time, is early on rehabilitation or early on access to healthcare. And overall, this streamlined approach can help, once again, save healthcare dollars by reducing future care. We can streamline obvious signs, warning signs of a heart attack or a stroke, and streamline the plan of care. And overall, efficiency always saves lives in this scenario. In reality, I see faster access to medical care being the better. Faster, someone who suffers a stroke could start rehabilitation. I've seen it personally, the more likely they are to overcome their deficits. And it truly is a matter of time is brain, and I think this is a wonderful campaign where we can use Taylorism. Surgeon protocols, I'm sure probably all of you have heard of this. So say someone just had their hip replaced, what should the rehabilitation plan be? Standard posterior hip replacement protocols are no internal rotation, no hip flexion past 90 degrees, and no adduction of the leg. So overall, what does this do? This saves healthcare dollars by reducing risks, and it can also be a lifesaver by not injuring the new surgical component. Sounds great. But in reality, it's not exactly a perfect step-by-step approach, but I still like it. It's an overall pretty solid plan that really anyone can follow. Even the patient can follow those simple 3 instructions. The classic cookie-cutter treatment. This is famous in physical therapy. So say you tore your rotator cuff, simply do X, Y, and Z exercises. And every therapist, I want you to give out X, Y, and Z exercises to all of your rotator cuff patients and group them all as a bundle. See them just as a rotator cuff patient. And what this would do would be streamline the rehabilitation process, keep consistency for each patient, and have the ability to track results with less bias because they all did the same workout program. In reality, this sounds great probably to the common person that's not a therapist, but as we're so trained and it's ingrained in us in school, each patient is different. You have to treat exactly what's in front of you. No one is just a rotator cuff patient. It's more of a holistic medicine approach. And really, in my mind, that should trump any kind of Taylorism that should play in one-on-one patient care. Something I've recently been exposed to in my first rotation in the hospital as a therapist is scheduling. And I think this would be amazing if we could develop some kind of thing like this. So it would be awesome to streamline, the most logical route, some kind of electronic program for a therapist to follow and other healthcare team members based on that patient's daily schedule. Because in the hospital, patients go down for surgery, lab draws, CT scan, or maybe it's simply lunchtime. Maybe they've never been up to get to the bathroom yet, and the nurse is helping them with that right now. Or they're sleeping. It's really hard to sleep in a hospital, and some patients sleep at noon when you think it'd be a great time for therapy. But having some kind of system that would log this, and keep track in real time would be a big time saver. It would save healthcare dollars overall, and it would help out, me personally as a therapist, so I could see maybe the interventions that the nurse did or the respiratory therapist did, and it kind of bring us all together, and it'd be nice, neat, organized, beautiful Taylorism in play. So what does the future hold? I see Taylorism continually being applied selectively to the medical field. I don't think its application will find its way back into direct patient care for physical therapists for quite some time. And when I reference that, that's like that rotator cuff approach. And that was kind of taught maybe 5-10 years ago for therapists. This is a ACL patient. Do X, Y, and Z exercises. But now, we appreciate the whole patient, the psychology side, everything that's going on with the patient. We want to embrace it and build the best treatment program for them all. And I think that's the greater movement today. So here are my references, and I'm really looking forward to any questions and comments you guys have on my application of Taylorism to the inpatient physical therapist in the medical field. Thanks. Have a good day.